Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with the photosynthesis chapter. Now it's written provider of food for all. So you have learned about photosynthesis uh, from lower classes. Photo means light and synthesis means the chemical substance which is prepared from light. So photosynthesis, um, in short, we can say that when light energy is getting converted into chemical energy that is present in the form of food, and plants who carry out photosynthesis, they are the provider of food for all on this earth. So here the definition of photosynthesis is given on this slide. So photosynthesis is a process by which living plant cell containing chlorophyll produces food substances, that is glucose, and this glucose, as it is water soluble, it will be lost during transpiration, so it's getting converted into water insoluble starch, and it is prepared from carbon dioxide, water, and light energy is used. So plant release oxygen as a waste product during photosynthesis. Waste product means for them also we can't call it completely as waste product. The reason is oxygen is utilized for respiration by plants as well, and then extra oxygen which they don't require, they give it out. So as it is given in the textbook, you will write the definition as it is, but when you are learning it, you remember that it's not the waste product. Also for plants, the reason is they are utilizing or they are using this oxygen for respiration, because respiration is carried out by them at night when light is not available. During daytime, maximum photosynthesis is carried out, but during night, the reserve of oxygen which they keep in their air spaces, that is utilized by them for respiration. Now here in the next slide, if you see the process of photosynthesis, this is the figure which depicts that water is taken by plants through roots. Carbon dioxide enters through stomata. Sunlight is absorbed by chlorophyll, and through these byproducts, you can see that sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water, these are used by the plants. These substances are used by the plants, and this particular substances is converted into glucose, that is sugar. And when it has to be stored, it is converted into starch, and then it is stored in the plant body, and oxygen is released. So now when photosynthesis is carried out, plants prepare two things: one, food, and the second is oxygen, which is used to breathe in. So you can see that plants through photosynthesis, they are providing us with food and also with oxygen. So that is the importance of photosynthesis. Now we go to the next slide, where we are going to first understand the internal structure of chloroplast. This is the cell organelle which is present only in plant cell, and this particular cell organelle is important to carry out photosynthesis. So it's very important to understand the structure of chloroplast. You have done this in 9th standard, so this is just a recapitulation for you. So here you can see that chloroplast is shown with two membranes. So when you're drawing the diagram, sometimes diagram of chloroplast is asked. So you have to draw showing two membranes. So this is the outer membrane and this is the inner membrane. And then you are going to show granum. Now these granum, it's singular, and the plural, as you can see two over here, it's known as grana. The single disc-like shape which is over here is known as thylakoid. And this grana, they are connected to each other with intergranular lamellae. So you can see over here, they are connected. So it is intergranular lamellae with which it is connected. The jelly-like substance which is present inside the chloroplast is known as stroma. So when you are going to draw the figure, so you have to draw similar figure to this. So you have to draw the double membrane. Children, just bear with me for some time because with the help of, so when you're drawing, draw double membrane. Okay, this is the outer membrane. One more inner membrane you have to draw. It has to be close to this outer membrane. I'm just showing you a figure which you are going to draw it very neatly. It has to be similar to the figure which is shown over here on the screen. So outer and inner membrane, and inside you are going to show granum, and these are the thylakoids. The disc-like shape which is there, that is the thylakoid which I'm drawing right now. And this disc is placed one above the other to form a stack of thylakoid, and this stack of thylakoid is known as granum. Granum is singular, and if you are considering one more granum over here, it's known as grana. So this is how you are going to show that, and they are connected with this pipe-like structure, and this is known as intergrana lamellae. Okay, and they are floating like this in the stroma. So like that you are going to draw grana, and you are going to show that they are connected like this. And the stroma is the jelly-like substance which is present over here. It's very important for you to know that the chloroplast has its own DNA, which is not shown in the figure. But you should know that it has its own DNA. You can just represent DNA because it's a self-replicating organelle. It has its own DNA. And that's the reason it can replicate. Okay. So outer membrane, this is the outer membrane. This is the inner membrane. These are thylakoids. Single disc-like structure is thylakoid. Thylakoid. And these are intergranal lamellae. This is stroma as it is written over here. you have to understand this thylakoid has green color pigment, and that is known as chlorophyll. So chlorophyll is basically present on the thylakoid, and that's why the light phase, that is, there are two phases in photosynthesis, which we are going to see in the next slide, that is carried out in this grana or the granum, and the phase which do not require light is carried out in the stroma. Okay, so first thing you have to understand that the chloroplast is double membrane cell organelle. So that's why when you're drawing the diagram, it should be scientifically correct diagram. Outer and inner membrane should be shown. Thylakoid should be shown like a disc-like structure, and that's a stack of thylakoid, so it's known as granum, singular, plural is grana, and they are connected with intergranal lamellae. Okay, children? I'll just write over here this particular structure where it is connected is known as intergranal lamellae. You have to draw this figure in your notebook, children, with all the labeling and the footnote. That is what is written over here. Internal structure of chloroplast. Okay, now we go to the next slide. So in the next slide, it's first you have to know that there are two types of chlorophyll, A and B, which are best known and most abundant. So the absorbed blue and red lights are most effective for photosynthesis. So you should know that the most effective or the most best known types of chlorophyll is A and B. And these two types, when they are carrying out photosynthesis, that time you will think that as it is green in color, they might be carrying out photosynthesis with green color of the VIBGYOR. When you are talking about a white light, it is having 7 components, that is 7 different colors. But out of that, as it appears in green color, you might be thinking that it might be carrying out photosynthesis best in green color, but it's not like that. The wavelength which is absorbed by this light is blue color and red. So the most effective light color in which photosynthesis is carried out maximum is blue and red. So remember, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B are best known, and the most effective light, the absorbed wavelength of the light in which photosynthesis is carried out maximum is blue and red. Okay. Now next part is process of photosynthesis. So when we are talking about process of photosynthesis, so you should know that where it is carried out, in which part of the leaf it is carried out. So for that you should know to draw the cross section of the leaf. So when you are drawing the cross section of the leaf, you have to draw the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis. And this upper epidermis, you have to show a thick covering over it, and that is a waxy cuticle. Okay, so when you're drawing it, you have to draw the upper epidermis, and you're going to draw a thick cuticle above it, so that is a wax cuticle. Then when you're drawing this middle layer is known as mesophyll layer, and in this you are going to draw two types of cells. One is the cylindrical shaped cell, which is known as palisade cell, and down you're going to show circular cells, which is known as spongy mesophyll cells, and in between you're going to show air spaces. In the lower epidermis, you're going to show stoma. Singular is stomata and plural is stoma. So you can see over here the like a guard cells you're going to draw, and in between you're going to show the gap, that is stoma. So mostly it is present in the lower epidermis to avoid transpiration. We have learned this. So your diagram, you're going to draw even this diagram in your notebook. So draw it perfectly. So first thing when you're drawing, you start with the so you are going to draw this upper epidermis. So when you're drawing, you have to draw in this shape, and you're going to draw it with double membrane. Because these are plant cells, so you're going to always show double membrane. See to it that the gap between the membrane is very less. Now this is how you're going to draw the cells for the upper as well as for the lower epidermis. And you're going to show a thick cuticle above it. Should shade it a little thicker. So when you're drawing it, see to it that you draw it and you show that it is thick. Okay. So draw shade above it so that it becomes thick, like a wax cuticle. And then when you're showing the palisade cell, show the cylindrical double membrane structure like this. And in the palisade cell, it has to be, little close. It has to be close to this outer and inner membrane should be a little closer. And then you have to show dots showing that chlorophyll is present inside this palisade cells and spongy cells. So you can see over here, also they have shown dots. So the dots represent that they are having chloroplast in them. That is, the green pigment which is essential to carry out photosynthesis is mostly present in the palisade cell and the spongy cell. So which is the area where photosynthesis is carried out? They will ask you the location in the leaf where photosynthesis is carried out. So you have to say that the location in the cross section of the leaf where photosynthesis is carried out is mesophyll. Okay, so this is the area or the location, means in between the upper and the lower epidermis, your maximum photosynthesis is carried out. And what is the function of the waxy cuticle? It prevents the loss of water. Okay, there are other functions as well that does not allow germs to enter, but the main function which is there for the wax cuticle is to prevent transpiration. Then a stoma, you can see it in the lower epidermis. So it allows CO2 to enter and oxygen to go out of the cell. Okay, so this is about the structure. Now we go to the next part,